took me by surprise. Oh, it took me by surprise, and it was taken by surprises, because it's Tuesday. Boo, boo, boo. Oh, lovely Tuesday. Boo, boo, boo. Oh, lovely Tuesday. Boo, boo, boo. Lovely Tuesday. Oh, Internet. Yeah. What's up, Internet? Happy Tuesday to everyone out there. Quick review on the who's the first to the chat. Guess who? I'll give you one guess. First into the chat, you get one guess, you guys. One guess. Only one. Frank Dominguez, number one. With a bullet in our hearts and in the charts. Frank Dominguez, number one to the chat again, yet again. Smooth. Living in my attic is paying off, I think. I think living in my attic is working out quite well for Frankie Dominguez. Well, I think as far as getting into the chat early, I think it's working out. I don't know if I don't know how it is, comfort-wise, though. I would say comfort-wise, maybe my attic isn't the most comfortable place, but maybe it's great for being first to the chat. So hopefully that's working out for Frank, because he's just hanging out in the attic, doing the old attic stuff. Anybody who's not seeing the show, hit the refresh. As you know, I unleash the live stream a little bit early so you guys get a chance to warm up. And I got this weird cowlick in my hair today, it's sticking up, and the white background of that painting makes me wonder what's trying to attack me from behind. And I think it's the Dennis the Menace thing I got going on back here. Yeah, so hopefully that won't distract me too much. Hopefully I won't get uber distracted by my weird Dennis the Menace stylings going on up there in the background. Even though I'd like to admit that sometimes I do get distracted by that kind of stuff. I'm like, what the heck is going on? What the heck is going on with my hair in the background? Yeah, a lot of people forgot to refresh, had to refresh. Because if you show up to the early chats, you got to refresh. You got to refresh and make sure that you refresh your refresher so that your refresh is refresh. But yeah, seems to be sound is good today, which is great. And I would like to speak to y'all shortly about the fact that the new live stream computer is coming along quite well. I have a bunch more stuff to do, and I forgot to bring over a thing here. Hold on, I gotta grab it. Enough of that, because I know I'll do a dorky video about that microphone later on. But that will be hooked up in the new studio area here very soon. That comes from our sponsor, the Aquarium Co-op. If you're looking for plants, dry goods, food, any of that kind of stuff, head to aquariumcoop.com. That is our sponsorship of this month for the show, along with the patronizers, which I'm really having trouble trying to get the video thing to work right to do the patronizers. So bear with me today. We'll be doing it analog again. It's just not fitting correctly. I'm trying to get it to work right and get it to look correct, and it just still doesn't look correct. So, but the patronizers is all you guys. And thank you very much. Quickly, Thank you very much to all the patronizers. We're up to, oh, hold on, I got to click the thing here real quick. There we go. We're up to 122 patronizers, which, as I've mentioned before, I couldn't even imagine 122 people wanting to chip in. Hopefully we keep growing. Hopefully we keep growing the Patreon, which means bigger, better product, bigger, better shows, bigger, better projects coming down the line. That is the big. That's one of the big things here that I've liked to point out to people is that the more patronization we get, the more we'll be able to do. More bigger projects like heading places, like going to places to help people out, shooting video and that kind of stuff. And doing bigger shows like having people come on here, which I'm actually working out some of the ins and outs about getting some guests to come on fairly soon. We'll see how that goes. If we'll be able to do some whatchamacallit, maybe we'll be able to do some Skype sessions. That's sort of free. But one of the things I'd like to tell you guys about that I found out today, so I worked out a deal with our local interneters, the internet guys that send the internet in through the pipe, and we have a technician coming out on Friday, and we will be essentially putting it on the credit card to up the internet ante here, so we can do higher definition stuff with better quality, which means multiple camera, all that kind of stuff without any kind of obstructions in the way. I'm very excited for that, and found out today that we'd be able to work out a deal that makes sense financially, and we shall see how that goes. If that leads up to, a better quality going out on the stream or not. If maybe it has nothing to do with anything, who knows? Maybe it just has to do with YouTube's hosting. I don't know, but we're gonna find out the manual way. What we're gonna do is get a bigger internet pipe, and then we're going to run it in through the wall over here, down through the ground, out up the pole, and out into the sky, right? Like when we're just out into the sky, and we're going to find out what happens. So we're going to see what happens with that. All right, so let me say hi to a couple of people here in the chat before we get on to answering questions and stuff. I already see some questions popping up there. So we'll be getting moving along here after we say hi to a couple of people. As I said, Frank Dominguez once again first to the chat. Gabe quickly followed by Gabe W, Sam Woods, the Plywood Pelican, Jeff Rowe. What's up? Let's see, Nisi coming in at 308th on the chat there. It's a quick count. It's a quick count to put that all together. 308. Nisi of the North from Alaska, one of our favorite moderators here. If you haven't checked out her Facebook page, she has a Facebook page where she posts up, along with some other people, a lot of the live streams and all that kind of stuff. If you get a chance, go ahead and click the join on there, and they do a great job of letting people know what's going on, like LR Bretts, like myself, like the Aquarium Co-op, like Jimmy from Aquarium Co-op, but maybe you don't have your notifications for like that guy, like LR Bretts, like I'm trying to think of a couple other people off the top of my head. Either way, they'll keep you really appraised with the live streams that are coming along and popping up. Like maybe, here's another one, Danny's Aquariums, and like Flynn, old Brendan Flynn there, when he does live streams or videos and stuff like that. So check out that page. There's a link to it right there in the chat. You can check that out. Nisi says, mods are overrated. I can't time out other mods, so the game is rigged. Wait, what? That's pretty good. So I like that. Turbo Fish is here. Actually, he made it today. I guess yesterday he wasn't here. Kyle Paith, Tim Lewis, BC Fish Room, fake name. Wushu Jimmy Brown, class is indeed in session. Kevin Keener, Death Nova. Kieran Egan, one of our patronizers. Mary Beth Mabe, a patronizer. Also, Dank Tanks, Donald Edwards, Nathaniel John. I haven't seen your name before, so howdy. Got a couple new people. Always like the new people. Trying to grow the community here, so that's always good. Barbara Jackson is here. How you doing? Good to see you. V-Stag, Damon Potter. I already said hi to Donald Edwards, but hi again. Fishhead2925, what's up? Derek Runyon, how you doing? Michelle Angel, good to see you. HC Aqua, Mateo 5001, Mateo. Cello from Idaho. Hello, Idaho. I'll be there in a couple years. Probably sooner for a visit, but Kevin Keener showed up with all of his beard power and his bus driving skills. Always good to see you out here for sure. Dwayne Kitchell is here. What's up, man? Now that we met in person, it's always great to see guys like Dwayne Kitchell showing up, because we can just lament on those times that we met in person and had a little hug and took a little selfies and had some laughs, and it's good times. Dig it. Let's see. So, Dank Tanks. Any experience with substrate being too deep for crypts? I have an elevated spot behind a driftwood barrier, and the crypts will not grow there, growing fine in other parts of the tank. Dank Tanks, I've never had any experience with crypts really being upset about depth of substrate in my estimation. Although, one of the things that would kind of pop into my mind would be that if you were like significantly elevated and much closer to the light, crypts will generally grow kind of small. They'll grow small if you have a ton of like really oppressive light on them. That is something that kind of popped in my head when I read that question. Like, maybe that would be a slight issue. It doesn't seem super plausible, but at times when I've had direct light on crypts, it does kind of disable them a little bit. Like, they kind of just get a little bit freaked out, I guess, in kind of a way to, relate it to people stuff. So maybe that has something to do with it. I've never had a problem with it growing in deep substrate, though. Though now I'm actually kind of interested what's going on in that deeper area that may or may not be different than the rest of the tank. So I wonder what the elevation is going on back there. So I'm kind of interested. I'm kind of interested. No, I'm interested in what's going on. Hopefully we can get a little more information. A great way to get some information to me, if you want to get your questions in early or any of that kind of stuff, is to head over to the Patreon. This isn't the fundraising part. This is the helpful part, especially helpful part of the Patreon page. You can go to the community part. You can post pictures up on there. Like, maybe you have a bunch of weird stuff going on with your aquarium, and you're trying to figure out what's going on, and maybe through the aid of pictures and that kind of stuff, that you can also go like, hey, here's this weird thing going on. Here's what it looks like. This is what's happening. I got my, here's my water parameters. Here's like what kind of lights and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. You can go ahead and post that up on there. In a real kind of easy way that you wouldn't be sort of under the gun of trying to answer all that kind of stuff. So a great example of that. Hold on, I'm trying to pull up the community page for whatever reason. It's going slow. Kevin Keener posted a picture of a freeloading chicken that is Black Dominique, just like my chickens. Freeloading chicken. My owner had to buy eggs at the grocery store because I'm a freeloading slacker, which is a perfect example of the kind of things that you could post up on the community up on the community page. And Kevin Keener also put a much more eloquent post up here about a saltwater tank, which we will be answering probably tomorrow. We'll be going kind of in depth onto that stuff, which that one's saltwater, so we'll do that one on Wednesday. James Dye asked any info on clays, rocks, or if anyone needs any info on clay or rocks. I'm a geologist. Basic info for a lot of things can be found at mindat.org, which is correct. You can definitely find a ton of stuff on there. We also have a post from Pamela Earlywine about a 10-gallon tank ready for the Blue Dream shrimp that she ordered from Lucas. Totally stoked to get them. Awesome. That's totally great. So just some examples real quickly of things that you could easily post up into the community page on Patreon. So that's really one of those things that, so like with Dank Tanks, so like your question there, you could post a couple of pictures, you could let us know what kind of substrate you got, that kind of thing, and then we could all kind of if maybe I don't have the answer, but we at least get a couple of people to kind of chime in, think about some stuff, maybe ask you some questions that you can chime back to just kind of get more of a picture of what's going on with maybe your crypts are happening there. Let's see. Donald Edwards is asking, does anyone in the fish business live stream in a suit? JH Aquatics does. JH Aquatics does the aquarium news, and he does it in a suit. Met him in Chicago while we were there. Great guy. Let's see here. Wyatt Ward is here. What's up? Jose Davila. So if I replace my sand substrate with fluval stratum, how long do I have to wait before putting the fish back in due to the initial ammonia spike? If you already have a cycled tank, you're not going to have that huge ammonia spike necessarily. You will get a little bit of ammonia, but you would just have to kind of pay attention to it. If you were to take the sand out, replace it with stratum, you will get a little bit of an ammonia spike. Just some added ammonia release from the essentially just the processing of that substrate is what kind of causes it to do that. It will just kind of be releasing this initial release of stuff. You'll just have to do a couple extra water changes. So that is really going to be the only thing that you're really going to have to look out for is that potentially, like I said, if you already have it cycled and stuff like that, you might not even see it because your beneficial bacteria might be able to outcompete and convert that ammonia. But the easiest thing that would be to do is just you're going to have to do a couple of water changes. So nothing super crazy. Let's see here. Adam Jonas is asking, is this one of those prerequisites type courses where you have to pass 101 to get into the 102? Yeah, I'm just kind of playing on the college courses, so kind of give people an idea of how to keep track if they want to go back and watch these later at a later date. People that may or may not be here for the actual recording or live or whatnot, just to give people an idea of what numbers they are. Once we get up into the 300 courses, though, I'll basically just be jumping between Spanish and Latin and Chinese and English and just bouncing between all those. Really confusing. It will be really difficult to track and follow if you haven't been along here for the ride. So I do encourage people to be here so that you can, every little step of the way, you'll be able to pick up some tidbits and things like that. And before you know it, you'll be winning. And I'm being sarcastic here a little bit, but you'll be winning aquascaping contests in no time, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, if you keep working at it and join aquascaping contests and things, then yeah, eventually you'll probably win one, honestly. But and HC Aqua is saying, I've gotten away with putting fish back in day one. That's really one of those things that you would really want to. You can put them back in, and especially if you have a cycled tank. If you have a brand new setup tank, you probably would want to wait and make sure that you seed the beneficial bacteria, some of the beneficial bacteria, and make sure that your cycle doesn't go like completely out of whack or anything like that. Alvin Jones, do you make videos anymore, or is it just talk in front of the computer now? I don't know, man. I don't know how to answer that one for you. But yeah, I do this live. I do a live show like this. We also have a video segment in this live show. I also make videos. I would like to be able to make more videos. It's a matter of just freeing up time to be able to actually produce those for you guys. But, one of those things is that you could join the Patreon and become one of the producers on there. And if you want a produced video of whatever the topic is, as long as it's not, obviously out of the realm of YouTube standards, then I'll go ahead and start making one of those videos. So feel free to do that if you feel like it. If not, cool, man. No worries. Let's see. Barbara Jackson, what is this Stranger Things you speak of? Stranger Things is a fantastic TV show. You should definitely check that out. It's off of Netflix, easy to stream. Watch it whenever you want. Whoop, I got a piece of tape attacking me over here. I thought the super secret community tab was there for me to randomly show off goldfish. Yes, that is part of the community tab on Patreon. Dwayne Kitchell, I can attest to the realness of Joel. It was great fun to meet him. All right, thanks, man. Appreciate that. It spreads depending on how much caffeine he's had at one time. Okay. Got it. Sorry, I'm reading the chat and laughing and not being very engaging right now. Sorry, guys. Better get back on it. Bantam Cichlids is here. Woohoo! Made it. Right on. Great to be here. Pretty sure the community tab is there so I can post my failures. All About DIY is here on his break. Right on. Digging that. It was great to sit next to you, Dwayne Kitchell, during the Heiko talk. Oh, that's dope. I'm glad to hear that. I'm just getting here. What did I miss from Jeffro? I thought Jeffro was here earlier. Did you get here and then leave and then come back? BC Fish Room. Hey, Joel, any suggestions on scaping a 29-gallon tall? Yes. Oh, it's 24. It's 24 inches tall. My aquariums are all 24 or 30 inches tall. So, yes, get some big, long driftwood would be my suggestion. Or take out some stock in a substrate company and start buying substrate to build it up, if that's what you're interested in doing. The way that I typically work with that is big rock, though, and big driftwood, or at least long driftwood. You guys have seen me make the bases of the driftwood out of acrylic. Glue or screw the driftwood into the acrylic base, so it gets you some of that real nice upward movement without them like falling over or any of that kind of crap. That kind of that would be my advice with a 29 tall like that. Most of my tanks are pretty tall, so when I order my driftwood, as we've discussed before, I get it from Aquarium. What is it? Manzanita Burl Works is where I get it from, and I just tell the guy, "Hey, I need stuff that's like 24 inches plus," and he goes, "All right, I'll do that." And most of the stuff he sends is 24 to 36 inches long, and fits right in there. And able to cut it down so I can fit it just the way that I want it to do. He's a cool guy. I have nothing to do with this company. He's just a cool dude. He's just a cool dude and sends out a really good product. So I don't have anything to do with that guy. He's not like the Amazon link or anything like that. So just a cool guy that sends out that stuff. And what's going on here? Candy Overhaul says, you mean we'll have your mad tweezer skills? That's right. Jeffro says, will you be handing out diplomas? Maybe. Yes, maybe if we can make it to a convention, another convention, maybe I'll print out some diplomas for people if we can make it to some of the upcoming conventions. There is one this weekend, the Ohio Cichlid Association, which I hear is a giant convention, but I will not be at that one as I don't have any plane tickets or anything like that, so I just won't be going to that one. If they let me fly around for free, I might be able to do it, but I tried and they wouldn't let me. They said no. All right. Cool. All right, so let's catch up on the chat here a little bit. I see many familiar usernames here today. If you don't hit the like button, Nisi will find you. I guess you guys, you got to hit the like button, I guess. It's wildly important, from understanding. I guess the YouTube will share it around if enough people hit the like button, apparently. I don't know. Let's see. Do you find chopsticks as a handy tool for aquascaping? I've never really found the chopsticks to be all that helpful for aquascaping personally. The two tools that I could not operate without would be the tweezers, long tweezers, right? Long tweezers, which you can find. I think one of the Amazon links over here is some long tweezers. But either way, easy to find on the Amazon. And then the other thing would be cheap paint brushes that I don't mind getting fully submerged in an aquarium. Those are the two things that I couldn't live without tool-wise, other than my hands, of course. But sometimes I do saw chunks of my hands off. As long as I got one, I'm still good. So as long as I got one operating hand, some long tweezers, and some paint brushes, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good, and I'm not super concerned about it necessarily. Oh, what happened? Are we buffering? Oh yeah, there we go. Buffering. Pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, let me click this little doodly button over here. Okay, so that's just me because I'm sending stuff out, so it's just buffering on my end. All right, cool. Let's see. Cooking meatloaf while listening to Meatloaf. It's a great times. Yeah, I have a wicked chunk in my 125. It's weathered fur. I think I've violated driftwood religions using it, but so far so good. I wouldn't be too beholden to a lot of the ideas about there or what kind of driftwood you can or can't use. I've seen so many applications of you can't use this driftwood, and boom, I've seen people using it for an extended period of time. As long as you have a good chunk of wood that's kind of dried out, it's had some time to dry out and cure, then you're pretty much in the right realm there, and not be so worried about. There's just a few types of wood that you really don't want to put in there. Even though I've seen successful guys with cedar and stuff like that, which are not even really supposed to have cedar in there. I've seen people growing little cedar trees in their aquascapes, and also I've seen cedar stumps thrown in there, which just seems crazy to me. But I wouldn't take that chance personally, but I also wouldn't be too beholden to, that these things are rules, 100%. It can definitely be worked around with certain things. All right. Got it off a local beach. Maybe I'll just stick with scavenging it locally. Yeah, so that's kind of one of those things that you could definitely find stuff on beaches or stuff that's been in streams or rivers and whatnot. And you can definitely find that stuff that's been pre-soaked for a really long time, and oftentimes a lot of the nastiness has gotten out of it once it's been soaked already by nature, pretty much. Dank Tank says, no, Joel, this is not live. Oh. Okay, but the whole video has to be in the voice. Oh, got it. Yeah, I'll do, if somebody wants to do hey, it's not limited to the producer credit. If somebody wants the producer credit on the Patreon, it's not against doing it in that voice. That is our next goal, though, on the Patreon, to get up to that, to be able to shoot that video and have everything legitimately ready, in place, all that stuff. That is our next goal, to do a show as Dr. McFishy Face. I'm not sure what his name is anymore. It's an imaginary guy. He can change his name whenever he feels like. Okay, so what about wood from the beachfront covered in salt water? I've seen a lot of people use driftwood from the beach. Personally, I've seen a lot of people do that with some pretty good success, which kind of boggles my mind in a way. But, if it was personally my tank, I would put it somewhere where I could soak a lot of the salt out of it. That's realistically what I would do, is really where the direction that I would go if I found something on the beach that I really wanted to do. I've found stuff on the beach here in Western Washington, beach combing and doing that kind of stuff. And most of that stuff I would just put like in a, like a water-filled trash can for a week or something, and just kind of forget about it for a little while. Maybe set it outside in the rain, where it's going to get rained on out here quite a bit, which is ongoing here. This storm is going to be here for like the whole week, I guess. So it's going to be windy and rainy, and hopefully the internet guy coming on Friday won't get blown away in a windstorm. And I'm pretty excited to see what the new internet is going to be capable of, because if I find out that I can start broadcasting in 2K, I'm going to really start figuring and getting excited for figuring out that out. If we could do that from here. Some people were asking on an earlier stream from today that if we could broadcast in 4K. Unfortunately, YouTube does not allow that yet. 2K is the best resolution that we could do, so hopefully I'll be able to do that. But here's the really cool thing: I'll be able to upload 4K video without just crunching the internet big time, which will be pretty cool. So hopefully moving forward, I'll be able to do some video and that kind of stuff, or at least just regularly doing everything in 60 frames a second at 1080, which would be much nicer quality than most about any YouTube videos out there and stuff. So let's see. The Joel, now I'm not so freaked out about collecting beech wood. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Joel. Now I'm not so freaked out about collecting beech wood. Yes, I would just, the beech wood that you collect, just make sure it's on the harder side of the woods that you can find, which is really kind of easy to identify, because typically hardwood grows more gnarly. It will grow more wiggly waggly, if that makes sense. It grows more gnarly slowly, so don't look for long perfectly straight stuff. Perfectly straight stuff like that generally is going to rot a bit in your aquarium, so look for the real gnarly stuff, which you probably would be looking for that anyway, but that probably kind of goes without saying, but that's the stuff that you definitely want to look up or find while you're on the beach. Donald Edwards is asking, what days do you link up with Corey and Jimmy? Is that a regular meet or infrequent? I don't have a specific day that I meet up with Corey and Jimmy, but we will be doing that at some point in time. It's a regular thing, infrequently, irregularly, frequently. I don't know. So, you know, I don't know. Don't have a great answer for that. If you want to help with the more groovier internet connections, that's right. It's going to be a bit of money out on the old credit card, but I'm willing to give it a shot and see what happens here with the old internet connection. If we can't bust it up and go a little bit crazy and see how well we can do with the. Essentially, we're just hooking up to the business level of internet, so it gives you kind of an idea. But luckily, the internet provider here is actually pretty cool about going, hey man, what kind of deals you got? So exactly, tote trash can this time of year in BC. No hose required. Rain will do it. That's right. The rain will definitely do it this time of year. Out here where I live, you can actually just put that kind of stuff outside and rock and roll on it that way. All right, moving on to the video portion. I've had people ask me a few times what this tool is when I've used it. I'm going to pause the video right here real quick and let you guys know I have nothing to do with Rockwell or this oscillation tool here. I don't have anything to do with this company other than I use this oscillating saw. Now, the reason that this oscillating saw is super helpful, you're able to get it into nooks and crannies, saw just directly at stuff around kind of corners, knock things out, do detail work, trim work, things like that just need a zip, 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 and you can put it into places. It has a bunch of different saw blades on it. Now, the funny thing is, so here's a quick hot tip. If you end up going out to get yourself an oscillating saw, Rockwell is not the only one out there. DeWalt makes one. Almost every company makes one. Rigid, a whole bunch of companies make it. The expensive part is not really the tool. The expensive part is the blades. The blades that go on here cost 1 to 2 kidneys removed and gifted to the hardware store. So one of the workarounds that I do with that is I actually buy the kind of knockoff blades that go into this tool, and you can find those on Amazon. Just generally find some good You find some with good reviews, and you'll be able to move forward with utilizing these blades quite a bit and not break the bank. Oh my God! And we've got a super chat. We got a super chat. Chips. I don't know where Chips went, but I'm trying to tell him about the super chat. Hey, Billy Browns. Billy Brown. We got a super chat. We got a super chat coming in hot from Canada. We got a super chat coming in hot from Canada. And it's a big $10 one. $10 super chat. $10 Oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay. Donald. Oh, man, I feel like a dork now. So Donald Edwards was asking, what days do you link up with Corey and Jimmy? Is that a regular meet or infrequent? Okay. All right. I was totally confused by the question, like a dingleberry. I was thinking like, oh, when do I go up there in person? I go up there in person on weird days. But we do a podcast style live stream on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Then we do one more recorded podcast with no video. And that will go out and released later in the week. If you could find the podcast information on a whole bunch of things. But if you like, say the podcast app that I use, what is it called? Hold on, oh, it's in my pocket. You can find it on iTunes. I know that now it's hosted on iHeartRadio, which we had to pay to get it on iHeartRadio. So it's on iHeartRadio now. You can search the Aquarium Co-op and find that on there. And wherever it went here, what is mine? Mine is called Podcast Addict, but it's on iHeartRadio, iTunes, all that kind of stuff. So there's twice a week we do a back and forth on there. One of our big goals is to be able to do a more produced show, okay? Where it's like, he and I and all that kind of stuff, so we can do more video type things that people are looking for, do some long format shows, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. But that's twice a week that we do that, so hopefully you could check that out. The live one is on Tuesday at 10 a.m. So, it does change whichever channel it's going to be on in the Corey World. So sub up all of the Corey's World channels there. But we have this huge super chat here. It's a double super chat, you guys. It's a double whammy super chat. Wow. Kathy Robideau with the double super chat. That's dope. Okay, so starting out with chat 1 of 2. Tap water is 6.4 pH, 0 kH and GH. Been using equilibrium to raise GH and baking soda for KH. Now my pH is way too high. I want to raise my KH without raising pH. Does Sechem acid buffer alkalinity buffer work? And here comes part 2. Any advice on raising KH, please? My tank has sand, driftwood, and a whole lot of plants. 90 gallon. Should I add crushed coral to the canister filter? I can't find a good answer in the interweb. Okay, so bringing up your KH without raising your pH. This is an ongoing consideration that a lot of people have taken, or that a lot of people have brought up over the years. And so let's answer the first part here with Secchem's product line of the alkaline buffer and the whatever the other one is, the acid buffer. So this acid buffer, alkaline buffer, they're going to raise and lower your pH, which I pretty wholeheartedly stay away from those type of additives if you're going to raise and lower your pH. I go pretty I go fairly aggressively in the natural methods as far as like raising and lowering my pH. One of the easiest methods that I have to do that with is the well, I wouldn't say that like fluval stratum is necessarily the supernatural way, even though it is volcanic fired substrate. I use that to bring my pH down a little bit, plus in conjunction with the CO2 that I'm regularly dosing, and the fact that my my water out of the tap is pretty neutral. It's right near 7 pH. There's nothing really too crazy about it. So that I would stay away from the additives, because the main problem is with those additives, as soon as you stop using them, you end up with it will just end up rotating back to whatever it was, and it won't necessarily get you to the point where you want to be as far as if you're looking for as far as you're looking to maintain something. So what you want to do with pH is you want to just maintain pH always. That's just the thing that you want to do. I know a lot of people are trying to raise it. A lot of people are trying to lower it. As far as pH goes, just get it consistent. You know, it's one of those things that, like, if I have like caridina shrimp and I want that pH to be lower for my caridina shrimp, what's going to be more important for the caridina shrimp is the stability of your pH. Like, let's say you have 7.2 pH and you're like, there's no way the caridina are going to be good. What's going to be way worse for your caridina shrimp is up and down, up and down, up and down. And that's what adding in that stuff from the whatchamacallit, from like Seachem and stuff like that, it'll give this whoopity-doo to your pH, honestly. Stuff that I would like to do is hold on a second, what happened here? I just totally spaced out. If you were trying to I totally just lost my train of thought because I was looking at the video. If you're trying to buffer up your KH, right? You basically just want to be adding calcium carbonate, right? Is what you want to be doing. You can add crushed coral, but the easiest thing that I've always found to do is add just a bag of aragonite or limestone. If you can get limestone and one of those media bags that I use my for my biomedia, actually pretty cheap. They're just like a wholly netted bag with a zipper on it. I would add that to wherever your filtration is. That would be what I would do. And aragonite is actually really cheap to get a bag of it. And so instead of dosing a chemical that will make it go whoop-de-doo, by adding that bag of aragonite to wherever your filtration is, you can add it in there and it will slowly change and kind of buffer your water up. There are mineral supplements now out there for the shrimp breeders, and I forget who makes them. Let me look it up here. For caridina shrimp. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Boo-doo-doo-doo. Who makes... And then Masura makes one that actually is pretty good if you're looking to add minerals to your water, which will just kind of inadvertently bring up your KH and buffer your water a little bit. Masura makes one, and I'm not sure... Somebody else that's like way more available makes one. Let's see, where did it go? It's around here somewhere. Oh, not very helpful. Yeah, I know the Masura one works pretty well, and shrimp mineral. That's what it is. It's called salty shrimp mineral, which would be the one that I would grab. I've used that one in the past. It's a GHKH buffer, and it won't change your pH. If you wanted to get something that was off the shelf, that's the one I would go for, is the shrimp mineral buffer instead of that Seachem product that's kind of split up. It really will kind of, that's one of the issues I found with the Seachem stuff, is that it will send your pH kind of all over the place, which is going to be realistically the problem. So I don't know, hopefully that answered your question. I feel like I rambled off and kind of lost focus because I've done a lot of shows today, so I'm kind of wearing down a little bit, to be honest with you. Oh, now we lost the chat. What happened here? There we go. Oh, click that button. River Life is saying at Marybeth Mabe, super chats are the best way to what? Oh. All right. And we got the super chat of the thank you. Well, thank you, Kathy. Kathy with the 3-time super chat today. So if you're looking for the sort of over the shelf, the salty shrimp mineral, I forget who carries this, but let's see. Well, that's the wrong one. But the salty shrimp mineral would be the one that if you really wanted to go with that. I believe Shrimp King makes one also. I've never used that one, though, so I can't say whether it works. The Masura one for sure works. I've used that one in the past, too. Let's see. Yep, Shrimp King makes one. It's by Denarel. And the Shrimp King one, if it does work, I would definitely look at that one as far as you could get readily available. I know that one comes in quite readily available, so I would look into that one. And yes, Flip Aquatics does carry that salty shrimp mineral, so he does have those at Flip Aquatics. If you can't find it, for instance, anywhere else, or if you want to support Rob and buy from his store, definitely a worthwhile guy, cool dude, and a good shrimp keeper, and a good shrimp breeder, and a good shrimp seller. So, yeah, I would check out with those guys. The saltwater fish seem to disappear from my area when it gets closer to winter, or they go deeper. Fake name, that is true. They will take off. Fish consistently will move around all over the place. Let's see. I just offer free lip piercings. The kids dig them. Why not? All right, let me catch up with the chat here a little bit. Yes, she mostly wants an answer, and I gave her a big, long, rambling answer because I've been talking a lot today. Kang Lee is here. What's up, man? Good to see Kang. Super late, but it made it, so hello. What's up, man? Good to see Kang Lee. Good to see Kang Lee in the chat. I hear he's at the Portland airport with the famed ugly carpet. If nobody knows that, the Portland, Oregon airport has famously ugly carpet. It really does. Let's see. We see Fish Room has the fishing going. Okay, let me see. The chums were finicky. Left my ultralight fly fishing gear. Boo, 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 boo. Okay, everybody's talking about fishing in the chat. Largest chain lakes in the Gulf. All right. Okay, I think I got caught up with the chat here. So let's get back to the video segment while we still have a little bit of time left here. In the video segment, you guys can see, as yesterday, I removed a bunch of the crypts out of that corner. And the reason for that is there's actually going to be some rock work going behind and in front. Now, the only issue that I have right now is I'm going to have to go source some of this rock. And I have a bit of a question in my mind right now whether or not I want to deal with the bother of coming up with more dragonstone to match this tank or not. It oftentimes is a really expensive route or a really laborious route in order to even just find somebody who's carrying it. So I'm kind of making the decision, but I think I'm going to go to the rock yard and see if they have some interesting rock that may or may not fit this Scape, which also is a great time to go shoot some video. And I don't understand why this end of this video is doing that. That was weird. Oh, I know why. I know why it did that at the end of the video. So maybe it just looks super cool with the triple take. Oh, Denerel is actually pronounced Denerla. Oh, Denerla. Okay. Denerla. I'm going to say that. No one's going to know what I'm talking about. Let's see. Yeah, I give the ocean... Well, Aquarium Co-op knows a guy with a bunch of Dragonstone. Well, Aquarium Co-op already... I'm going to have to drop off one of my kidneys up there. As well, here's a little clue as to what's happening with the 240 here. One of the big things that's going to be happening with the 240, I'm actually going to convert all the lighting on the 240 here over to the Fluval 2.0 lights. Honestly, I'm that happy with the product of the Fluval 2.0s. I'm going to actually have just 2 of them over the 240 here, which will be plenty of light to grow just about anything under it. Like I said, I'm really satisfied with how well that that light is working over the 150, and I'm going to go ahead and swap the lights out on the 240 here to go over to those. And to those of you out there that are like, hey man, I know you build your lights and your cabinets and all that kind of stuff. I will have some pretty awesome light building videos coming up in the future. So don't despair that, like, oh, hey, man, he's just going to buy this stuff off the shelf, blah, blah, blah. I just really dig the Fluval 2.0 lights, and I need to simplify some of the things that are going on with these. I'll most likely be building LEDs for Vicky's tank and for the 180 reef tank. So don't despair. I just want to start streamlining my plant tanks, and plus I'm super happy with how well the Fluval 2.0 lights look in person and in photography, and taking pictures of stuff in there. Those LEDs actually work out perfectly if you have them tuned all the way up. For video, if you have them tuned about halfway, it's chaotic and super difficult to get really well, but all the way up, it's perfect and does a fantastic job. So I'm pretty happy with those lights. But maybe if I do go up to the Aquarium Co-op, maybe I'll bust into his Dragonstone and see what I owe him after the fact. I'll just give him a foot or a shin or something. You know, just the unimportant leg part. You know what I mean? But I do want to go to the rock yard and find some stuff there for at the very least the 150, because I want to round out some of the rock work that is in the 150. And so I will actually have some fun going to the rock yard and kicking some things around, taking a look at what they have down here. One of the main things for that is that when I moved down to Tacoma, I haven't been to all the rock yards down here, so I want to go to them and check them out and see what's what. So maybe I'll have to be a kneecap. Okay. Well, I don't like to give away my bendy parts. The bendy parts are the really good ones. If I give my shin away, I can just replace it with like a mop handle or something like that. Jeffro is asking at Aquarium. The Aquarium Co-op sell the Dragonstone online. Yes, I have seen them sell that online, so I would check that out if that's something that you can't get locally, because you could order it in, and then a super cool mailman will drop it off at your house. Which yesterday, I will say, the storm that was coming down yesterday, it was the wettest mailman I have ever seen in my entire life. That guy was the equivalent of like 5 wet dogs. I felt so bad for that guy. If there was a way to tip the mailman, I probably would have given him $10, because that guy looked miserable and still showed up, knocked on the door, waited for me to come get my packages, because one of them had a drop. Don't deliver if unanswered. And that guy was just the wettest dude ever. We don't have a ton of questions in regards to what I'm doing in the aquarium here in the video, so seems like maybe it's just pretty much pretty self-explanatory as far as the video goes. CH Aquatics was asking how many Fuval 2.0s on the 800. I think only 4. I think he's got 4 on there, I think. I can't remember. Did you take your rock with you, or did the cat get it? Oh, Gone Mad's asking. Yes, I got my rock here. I got a rock from Gone Mad when I was in Chicago, and I've got it here on my trinkets, way up there on the shelf. Thank you very much for that cool rock. Oh, he's got 3. He's only got 3 on the 800, so that'll be pretty cool. Are they Twozen tweezers being used? Yes, those tweezers is being twozen to and fro, back and forth. So some people, well, Ella, that's a good point. Do a giveaway for your old lights. I'm not sure who would want my old lights, but I'd be happy to get those T5s out there if somebody want those. This T5s are over the 240. Yeah, I'll probably do something like that. Like, hey man, who's super cool? Meet me in the Petco parking lot near the near the coffee shop, and we can get a coffee, right? Because coffee's my favorite thing, pretty much, other than Victoria. I mean, Victoria is my favorite thing. Then probably Mr. Chips and Biddy. Then coffee, probably. Let's see. So, SC Aquatics just got back into the stream. What's being planted in the vid? Well, there we go. Some questions for the video. This is actually dwarf chainsword, which is actually the real micro small size. As you can see, it does grow in these runners that go about 1 centimeter apart. And as they do that and spread out across the tank, they will take over spots where you don't want them to be. And when you have to pull them out of the substrate, they come out in this long kind of Christmas tree light string, right? Now, I've had a lot of people go like, well, what do I do with that once I have those out there? In between each one of those little plantlets that come up, each one of those has a little bit of root on them. So what I do is I'll clip in between them and individually plant each little section to start filling in its own little areas here. And over time, as you can see, there I am planting the little individual ones, and every once in a while one will pop out and I have to replant it. Not a big deal. But those will start filling in those little kind of empty areas. You can see where it's like thicker and thinner in certain spots. I tried to get a nice overhead shot so you guys could see down into exactly what is going on here. But each little area there, I'm adding an individual plant. And if you guys remember, this was really only like 1.5 pots worth of this when I got it. So as you can see how much it's filled in now. This, once again, this is a 240-gallon aquarium, so that's about 4 feet wide, maybe? No. About 3 feet wide there and 2 feet from the front to the back. I know that the perspective is a little bit weird, but the camera is up and facing down, a little bit odd. So here's the little triple take thing that the stupid video render did. But hopefully that starts to give you guys kind of a little bit of an idea of when you start out with such a small amount of plants and people go like, man, what are you going to do? And guess what? A couple of months go by and this stuff will really spread out, really starts to take over and really starts to fill in. And that is the number one thing to remind to people when they're aquascaping, when you're doing aquariums and stuff like that, whether it's class 101, 102, 301, any of that kind of 310, any of that stuff. Patience, 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 patience. Just take some time and let the thing grow. You ain't going to be moving it around. You ain't going to be doing a bunch of, just give it some time, allow it to grow. and you'll be much happier over the time than trying to fill it all in 5 minutes and have it try to make it look super cool. Patience, patience, patience. You're definitely going to have to wait and allow it to just slowly grow in. They are just plants. They're not going to freak out or anything like that. Let's see. Candy Overhauls is asking, do I have CO2 on this tank? Yes, I have CO2 running into a reactor into the sump. Handmade by yours truly, which I'll actually be making another reactor here fairly soon to hook up Vicky Toria's tank, and so that will be running on a reactor also, so that every single tank in here, other than the reef, obviously, will be running on some CO2 through a reactor. One of the things that I'm pretty happy with in this aquarium so far is just the nice amount of stability. Like I said, I'm going to be swapping the lights out. I'm unhappy with the performance of the bulbs, and of course, when I went to pull off some of the bulbs, I realized why, and that's because they're like 6 months old, which means they're starting to run out of the spectrum. All right, hold on. I know I phrased that really weird, so let me start over. They're starting to walk away from the spectrum that they're supposed to be in. You know, the bulbs still work, they still illuminate, but they're losing the spectrum that they're supposed to be in. And over time, the chemicals within the, you know, those T5, T8, T12 bulbs, any of that stuff, will just, the spectrum starts to change, and that's because the chemicals within there start to break down, and it doesn't put out the specific light that needs to go in there. As I was talking about with ordering the Fluval 2.0 light fixtures for this, it was like, well, I could go buy new light bulbs, which is going to cost money, and replace all the bulbs in here again. Or I could buy a light fixture that I don't have to replace the bulbs in ever again, basically. And me being a guy of having to dispose of fluorescent bulbs, I hate it. I hate having to drive over to the dump and throw them away properly. I also hate having to spend money on light bulbs once I've already spent money on them. It just ends up, in my mind, being a waste of money. But maybe you're somebody that only plans on owning your fish tank for like 5 months, then maybe it's a great investment because you're just going to throw it all out in 5 months or something. I'm not 100% sure exactly what that's all about, but maybe you only want to have your tank for a limited amount of time, and that's why maybe it would work for you to go with those bulbs and stuff. But for me, how many times I've bought bulbs over the years, I just don't want to buy them anymore. I don't want to do it. I don't want to have to go to an aquaponic gardening store, try and find the specific bulbs in the weird racks that don't make a lot of sense. I don't want to go to Amazon and order them because they're way too expensive. So it's really one of those things that is one of the reasons that I'm going to be switching over to the Fluval Aqua Fresh and Plant 2.0 LED, which they're fantastic bulbs. I have nothing to do with Fluval, and I don't really care if you use them or not. I'm just saying that's what I'm going to be switching back over to, because over the last month I've used one on the 150, and I'm very happy with what I'm getting out of it, and I would like to be very happy with what I'm getting out of the 240. So that will be the ongoing plan. And in regards to that, and I don't want to buy more bulbs. I just don't. Let's see. Barbara Jackson, my dwarf chainsword was always covered with algae. I gave up and took them out. I understand that does have a tendency to happen in shallower tanks. So anytime that I had dwarf chainsword growing in, for instance, like a 20 long or a 40-gallon breeder or anything like that, I generally would end up with a lot of algae on the dwarf chainsword. One of the main reasons for that is that its leaves live for a really long time. So like I said, you have these little sproutlets that come up, and they don't cycle through their leaves very quickly. Those leaves will be up there for quite a long time. So with a shallow tank like that, or a shallower tank. I'm not to say that a 40 breeder is super shallow, but a shallower tank like that, they're going to get hit with a lot of direct light. So what I would recommend, if that was a setup that you had going on, is that what I did in the past is I would start out with the light fixture towards the front, let the dwarf chain sword start to grow in and get established, and then I would slowly move the fixture towards the back a little bit, just so you get a little more indirect, a little bit of indirect light, or possibly do a lid where it could diffuse the light a little bit towards the dwarf chain sword. And that can actually be picked up at like Home Depot or anything like that. Pretty simple stuff. You can just cut it at home. I use that corrugated plastic material to kind of just diffuse the light a little bit, so it's not getting so much direct on it, because it does need direct light to get going and growing, but once it's established, it's not going to need as much, and it will just generally end up growing a little bit of algae. But it also is a little detritus magnet. So as it grows up, this area down underneath here, there really isn't much going on underneath there, and stuff that falls down from up above just kind of gets caught down there and essentially makes kind of a little really vitamin-rich algae area, and can really promote some algae growth and stuff like that. So one thing I would recommend, back again to my paintbrush thing, the paintbrush comes in really handy to kind of zip around down in there and get that stuff back up into the water column, carried away, and it will eliminate a little bit of that algae problem that you will have from the dwarf chainsword. All About DIY says, holy crap, you're still on. Tanks are looking great. How's everyone doing tonight? Well, All About DIY, we run an hour-long show here, so we're at the hour and 6-minute mark. So we actually are going back to the standard screen here. Hopefully I answered enough of people's questions. Maybe I left way too many questions out there. I noticed some people talking about the pistos. The pistos are doing fantastically. I think we started out with 6 altogether, and I think we have 5 right now. But we have 5 that are doing pretty well. I don't know where the other one went. It might be hiding somewhere, like in the sump or whatever. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed it did okay and is hiding somewhere good. But 2 of the pairs actually do kind of come out quite a bit and do occupy their own kind of space now that they're big enough. They tell the killifish to just get out of here, man. You know what I'm saying? So actually doing pretty well. My show makes a terrible oven timer. Yes, it does, because I have a oven timer right here on my cell phone that I normally use. I wouldn't normally use a show for an oven timer. You know what I mean, Mary Beth. But CH Aquatics says, peace out. Good to see you, CNH. Let me see here if we got any emails. Nope, no new patronizers today. So we're going to actually just run through and say howdy to all the existing patronizers. Starting at the very, very, very top of the list of patronizers, I have to look through this really quick, is Eric Gone Mad at $49.99 a month. As we move along down the list, we've got Steven Skoglund next at $44.65, a very sneaky contribution. Followed by Barbara Jackson at $31.41, the extended pie. Cute Nicks at $30. Woo! Thank you, Cute Nicks, $30. And Barbara, $30 with plus the $141. Amazing. Bracken Ward at $24.99. Thank you very much. And at the $20 mark, we've got Aquarium Co-op, Vince Grippa, Kieran Egan, the Fishy Mailman, and one of our longtime patronizers here, Long Woo. Get it? Long time, long woo, long time, long woo. And now starting out down here at the, who knows what this is, $10 plus. So Joel Gillett at $15, Tim Lewis at $15, Iris Booth at $15, Jorgen Thirkelsden, which is still super hard to say, at the $10 mark. Jesse Stenner, Ashton Fitzgerald, Wyatt Ward, Sashimi Whiskey, Stephen Innes, Karen Halbert, Juan M. Ruiz, Doug of the North, Miguel Cam, Jim Meeker, Candy Overhauls, Eve Daigle, Jeff Myers, Kyle Paith, Pax, Denzel Gregory, Nick K. Aquatics, Rob Hicks Aquariums, Matt Gilmet, Jack Betts, Cichlid Bro, M. Den Hollander, who is our first patronizer, is still M. Den Hollander. As long as he's still patronizing, he will hold the crown. At the $10 mark, along with Kevin Keener, Shaun of the Dead, Jennifer J. Sarchicino, all at $10. Starting at $6.99, we've got Pamela Earlywine, Olympia Shrimps, Brandon Sultanovich, Alexandra Radin, Laney P., Shelby Waters, Ryan Colony, Meow Aquatics, Michael Hoffman, Ryan Brown, Classical Aquatics, James Hirsch, Frank, just the one name, Frank, I like that, Catherine Ann Robideau, Dennis Ballard, Theodore Schultz, Addison Nishijima, Kevin Hayes, and Gene Fensky. Mary Beth Mabe with the one-time $12 for $1 a month for the whole year. Mary Beth Mabe, thank you very much. And here we go into the $5 is Jeremy Brown, Josh Peters, Kevin Green, and Melini Victor have gone up to $4. T. Frank's Tanks raised it up to $3. Karen KZ Ellis at $2. Gary Brown at $2. And here we go. Starting the $1 club. Cole and Deb Schramm, Bridget Rochette, Kevin, Brandon Salas, DJ Collins, Lycramosa, Dean Hanoi, Daryl Dimer, Alyssa Jackson, Sean Peck, Kyle Daniels, Matthew Fish, Sherry Ormiston, Ursa's 57, Elizabeth Rogers, Dana Grimes, Howard Meyer, Bentley Pascal, Melissa Byers, Chad Johnston, James Dye, Lisa Cree, Casey Summers, Colin Davis, Sydney Erickson, G. Cunningham, Greg Erksleben, it's hard to do that one. Ryan B., TJ Kelly, Famous Jones, Debbie Clayton, Chris Cuse, Devin, The Arsenal of Color, Douglas Medlin, Caroline Epler, River Life, Ian Van Natter, Wyatt Hickson, Derek Runyon, HC Aqua, AMA Aquatics, Dean Feldman, John Ugaletti, Mike Faulkner, Brandon Wallet, BC Fisherim, Sandman, Christina M., Allison Behringer, Teresa Cookie. Teresa Cookie is from New Zealand. I found that out the other day. Teresa Cookie from New Zealand. New Zealander, Kiwi. I wish that I knew a Kiwi song. I don't know. Is there one? So Spencer Ballard, Priscilla MK, Thomas Donchek, and Matthew, right? Thank you very much, you guys. I very much appreciate it. All those dollar ones, the dollar ones add up. Thank you very much. The big contributors, thank you very much. That all goes towards the internet now, which is getting wildly more expensive, but definitely going to be worth it as we blast off into the information, the 21st century information super speed highway. Everything shall be on the uppity up, and you know, people keep asking me, where does that money go? That's where it goes. That's kind of the thing. That's all the stuff that it goes to. All this crap all costs money, and putting it together, it ain't cheap. It ain't free. I wish it was free. Then we would just do all this stuff all day long, but sad fact of the matter. And if you guys want to hear me read off a whole bunch more names, go ahead to go over to the Patreon and throw your dollar on there once a month, and we'll be able to do that. Just fine and dandy like sour candy. And as we get up to the end here, like a big shout out, thank you to our sponsor of this month. The Aquarium Co-op is in cahoots with you guys to sponsor the show and improve the stuff. Very graciously, thank you. Check out the aquariumcoop.com if you want to order some plants or stuff like that. And SC Aquatics, thanks for coming out. It goes to good use. Thank you very much. I also want to give a shout out to Kathy Robideau with 3 super chats today. Kathy Robideau, Canadian style, going with the triple super chat today. I haven't seen any super chat action like that in a really long time. Thank you very much. That's pretty cool. Hopefully we got you sorted out. Hopefully we got some stuff going on there. If not, shoot me an email anytime, and we can keep working on that kind of stuff. And here comes the end of the stream, so hopefully everybody has a fantastic Tuesday out there. Don't light off any fireworks in the middle of the night, or you'll get punched in the neck. Probably not by me, but you know, somebody probably will find you and be like, "What the deuce?" You know. And but have a safe Tuesday. Don't get crazy. Later. It's going to get loud because this mic has no Anybody seen that button? Where'd the button go? It disappeared from over there. Later.